Hi, first grade parents. I am going to give you some info that we were going to have a meeting on before before I got sick and the holidays and everything. And then that ended up getting canceled. So I created this, it's kind of like a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to email it to you. But I'm also going to go over all of this with you and hope to somewhat explain what I mean by everything. So, as you can see, I titled this first grade info, but really what this is about is iReady Online. So, iReady is the assessment, that testing that we do 3 times a year, but we now have access to also online lessons, which the kids have done a bit at school. And I can assign lessons for specific things that I think they need to work on, which I have done and they have done at school. But I want you to be able to use that at home as well. And also, there's information about Super Kids online fun in here. And then just some other Super Kids home day information and just some different things with math that I wanted to make you aware of so that you can just be the best home day teacher that you can be. And not that anybody's doing anything wrong, but we just need to amp up a few things, so to speak. So first, let's begin with iReady. iReady, this is how you can access the website to get on home days. And I'm going to add to the assignment sheet that kids get on about just 10 to 15 minutes a day at home, or complete either a math or a reading teacher assigned lesson each day. I would toggle back and forth. They don't have to do one of each day. They can do one math one day and maybe reading the next home day, and vice versa. But this is the website that you would go to. And I'm going to go ahead here in just a minute and click on that so you can see it. But you can type this in and bookmark it on your computer. Each student's, oh, this says password. Sorry, I need to edit that and change it. Each student's ID or their login information is their first name and their last name all together like this, all lowercase. So Judah Lee would be his username. And then password is 1234, and make sure that Colorado's chosen. Once you're logged in, you can choose either math or reading to work on, but always make sure to do any teacher assigned lessons that are on the left side of the screen. I don't think there are any right now, so I'll pop into Judah's quick to show you. Maybe. Let me try this again. Whoops, i-ready.com. That's bizarre. Maybe they're working on the website. They weren't this morning. I'll come into my bookmark and see. I'm going to check on why that's not working, and try to fix that before I email this out to you. Anyways, when you you'll come to this screen, and it's your child's first and last name, 1, 2, 3, 4, Colorado, and go.
Choose a subject.
So let's say math. So see,
Start lesson.
I had assigned some lessons.
Start lesson.
There's a My Path, which basically, based on their test scores, gives them a lesson to go into or where to begin. But then I actually went in and assigned lessons that I felt were more appropriate based on what we were doing, or maybe lack of understanding of some of the questions on the testing. This is how it looks. So these teacher assigned lessons over here are the ones I want you to focus on. And it looks the same for reading. One thing to know is they have to finish a lesson. It won't save their spot. So once they've started a lesson, they need to complete it. Okay. Let's move on. Super Kids online fun. So the Super Kids program, you have the teacher portal that you access that gives you access to the lesson plans each day. And within there, there's actually a portal for online fun. You shouldn't, hopefully this will work for us. I'll try it. But you should be able to go into here and not have to worry about creating your own um, link. So this is an online component though. It has games that the kids can work on that are geared toward everything we're learning and working on in reading. And that also has all of the readers, all the stories in the big reader, the little leveled reader books, and the magazines that they can read along with. And that can also help improve their fluency and help them practice. There's also a section where they can watch videos about each super kid, and I've allowed them to do that occasionally at school, but usually when we have had time to log in and do super kids online fun at school, I tell them they have to play 1 or 2 games and then they have to read. So that is something you can also do at home. This would be the link in which you would click to log in. And then this one is actually working. It can be really slow to load sometimes, but once you get here, I'd also recommend bookmarking this on your computer so that it's easily accessible for your child. Once on here, they know where to go and they know what to do. They've done this enough at school to know. Okay, a few other things for the home days with super kids. I want to first kind of go over these bullet points 1, 2, and 3, and then I'll go back into the teacher portal and show you some of the things that I am talking about. So 1, even if you use the video lessons, I think at this point now where we are in the curriculum and how things are moving pretty quickly, and we have a lot of writing lessons that are now going back and forth, and there's something they have to work on to each day to complete, a writing assignment. It's really important that you still download the daily lesson plan so that you can not only understand, maybe look back at the day before when they were at school with me and the day ahead of you, the next day when they're back with me and whatnot, to see what's going on in the writing, because it'll help you understand how those writing assignments are all laid out and what some of the expectations are with those. I think it's a little bit more difficult to just follow the videos on that. So you can follow the video lessons at home still and have your child work along with them, but really be aware of what should be going on within the lesson. I think we've all gotten comfortable enough with getting on the Super Kids website and also locating videos that and it's not too time consuming to look through all of that. So anyways, do that. And then also use those downloaded lessons to keep track of the reader. Like if you do the reading lesson with Miss Elise on the video lesson, that's fine. But the kids really need to read that story a couple more times, or also maybe have you read to them 1 or 2 times and then them practice reading that story each day so that they get practice with the reading story or little leveled book 2 to 3 times each day. And then use that to help you ask the questions that are appropriate for that. I know it's a lot, but first grade is a lot. And as we amp up the rest of the school year, it's just going to continue to move pretty quickly. So, 2, when using the video lessons, please make sure that you are with your child for the components. I can give you an example. Judah does the daily routines portion on videos most of the time. And we work at our kitchen table. I will sometimes get up and put dishes in the dishwasher really quick while he's doing that, but I still am listening and I make him pause the video and I make sure he reads the words and he's not just watching it. I want to hear him practice sounding those words out or practice reading those words fluently. in addition to what's just being presented in the video. If they don't have that practice and they're not being asked to pause the video and to explain themselves or to practice orally with you, then we'll lose a lot in the coming months toward the end of the year as things continue to grow and build on each other. And even if the lesson doesn't call for it, it's really important that you have your child practicing the memory cards or the sight word cards every single day. And I had emailed a link out to you guys at the beginning of the school year that you can print out the memory words for the whole year, and then the unit that they're in is numbered on the bottom of those flashcards. And so we're currently in unit 5, so they should be able to be practicing all of the memory words every day from unit 5. And then as you practice them, you'll see the ones that they really don't know or they struggle to not say within 3 seconds. And those ones you should set aside and spend more time practicing on. Maybe the ones that they for sure have down, you don't have to practice every day, but do a reminder revisit with those memory words every so often. The ones that they definitely don't have mastered yet, those should be a daily practice. In addition to that, at school, I have been having them all get the little mini whiteboards and bring them up to the rug in the morning during the daily routine time, and adding another of my own daily routines, I guess, to the mix. And I think it's really important in order for them to keep practicing using these spelling patterns in their reading and blending words. So I will say to them, please write down the spelling pattern that makes the sound sh, for instance, or ing or ang, and they're just writing down that pattern. Sorry for the interruption. That gives them practice with those patterns and them having to master them a little bit more. And then you can have them spell a word, and then, or you can write your own word with one of those spelling patterns and have them read it, and just continue to practice developing that fluency. Okay. And then maybe have them practice it within some sentences. It's just really a big year for developing some of these reading skills. So let's go into the portal really quick. I have my login up here, but you know your first grade, HCCA first grade one. Why is this not coming? There we go. It's just being slow. And so let me give you kind of an example. So here's where you go, that word here again, for your video lessons. And so those of you that are using those, you obviously know how to get there. And then here is, if we're still in Unit 5, Lesson 10, you download those lessons. But I really want you to focus not just on this page. This is where you can obviously print things, or you can pull up the books and have online access to the books. It's where you can print extra pages if we forgot one, or if your child is homesick and I assigned practice page 81. But you really need to download the lesson to really see what's going on, especially, like I said, with the writing components. So this is where I said I added the daily routine, which you all understand all of this, but it also helps even if you're doing Miss Elise video lessons with like the word work time and the word workbook, if you kind of understand what's going to be expected, or you can kind of follow along with that. And then, of course, this is where there are activities to do. So if you watch Miss Elise, she will do these things. She'll do this section right here, for instance, on this one, which we haven't gotten to yet, but is upcoming very soon, where we're going to take the magazine and we're going to try to figure out what's the main idea of the magazine and what are 2 details in there. And this can be kind of a tough topic. So she will be going over that, but it's really imperative that you can stop and understand and have these discussions with your child as well, because there's just a lot to it. And of course, it'll continue to go back to those things through the years, but we need to be diligent to complete the lessons to the best, just for the benefit of our own children. Also make sure that you're discussing what the vocabulary words are, what they mean, have them use them in a sentence. And then here's where we go into the writing. So you can see kind of maybe what was discussed before. It tells you how to have a time of modeling for your child, and then what kids are supposed to do in that. And you can differentiate a little bit. And if you feel like, my child is a little below level, maybe with writing, or they're above level, then check in with me and let's talk about how we can make accommodations for that. But most of the kids should be able to be reading at this or writing at this point multiple sentences. But they don't always obviously know how to spell everything. They're still working on having to practice putting space between their words and being reminded to put a period at the end of a sentence and whatnot. It's obviously a skill we're developing, but being able to put multiple thoughts towards something is important. So, and then also as you're working on writing with them, and they are trying to figure out a word, and it's a word that should actually be able to somewhat spell, because it's a spelling pattern, or a pattern in a sound pattern in words that we've been practicing so far. Remind them, because sometimes there's a disconnect where kids can see those spelling patterns or those sound patterns in words and sound them out, but then they forget and they don't apply it to their writing when it's outside of the spelling list or outside of the reader. So that's a really good time to talk to them about, remember this pattern. So what do you think that's going to look like in this word that you're trying to write? Having those kind of conversations is what helps all the time. And then these are the 10-minute tuck-ins I've mentioned doing. These, as I've been reading through these, it's very difficult for us to get time to do these at school, but these are very good and also very important to helping your kids really grow in all of these areas with their foundational reading and writing skills. So please make sure not to skip over this. If your day is getting too long, go ahead, and we don't want tears and a whole drawn out mess by any means, but make it fun. And then one quick thing about math, or actually really quickly, reading fluency. So we are going to be getting to a point here soon where I will be timing the kids. So it's really important that they are practicing reading stories, the reader books, and the magazines multiple times, like I said before, in a lesson, along 2 to 3 times each day. Now, it doesn't mean they have to read it 2 to 3 times each lesson, but between the two of you, read it 2 to 3 times. Along with those practice times, it's important for your child to hear you read. When you hear sounds, words, and letter patterns that your child still struggles with or still hasn't mastered, take note of those, and then find ways that you can practice those outside of reading time or even at other times of the day. You can do little whiteboard activities, like I mentioned with the daily routines earlier. You can ask them to tell you what 2 letters make the ing sound. And then when they can do that, have them then tell you, okay, how do you spell sing, for example? And then, if there's areas where your child is struggling, go back in the reader to beginning of the year stories where some of those patterns are introduced in stories. But the actual reading itself is a little bit easier still, and have them go back there where they can feel successful and read those over and over again. Okay. And just for your awareness, a typical first grader should be able to read at a rate of 53 words per minute by the spring. Now, reading fluency is not just about a race. It's about them being able to read smoothly and also remember and understand what they're reading. So I did make a note here, though, that we're not all typical, and that's okay. But it does help us have a target. And that's when we know if our child's falling way below that target, how we can find the areas to pinpoint to help them grow and meet their needs where they are. And then with math, really quick, it's really important that your child can identify numbers by name over 100. And well over in the 20s, all of the numbers within 100, but even over 100. As we get into place value here soon, they're going to need to be able to identify ones, tens, and hundreds in numbers. And then also they should be able to put those larger numbers in order, or be able to name numbers before a given number or after. So for like example, what number comes before 87? I have a few kiddos that are still struggling with that a little bit. So if you can just do a minute or two, or a few practices each day before your math lesson. These things don't need to be time consuming, and they shouldn't be, but they're really important little practice times. Same with, practicing telling time. But then also make sure you're making or purchasing addition and subtraction flashcards so that they can become, and you're practicing those about 5 minutes a day, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on with that. And you can build up as they get better within, 10 and within 12 and within 14. And you can add on to that, but it'll just be really important and help them with their math in the future. So like I said, I'm going to go back and try to figure out what the issue was with this link and get that fixed for you guys. And then I'm going to email this to you, and hopefully this will be somewhat helpful for all of you. Let me know if you end up having questions, but there is going to be a parent workshop the end of January. So make sure to look at the calendar. I don't have that in front of me at the moment, but I believe it might be the 28th. It's somewhere around there. And that is a requirement for all parents to attend the parent workshop. And it's after school for about an hour to an hour and a half. So we can answer questions during that time. It's most likely that those of us that are teaching kindergarten through second grade will be doing some more information with maybe iReady, but also the super kids, just in trying to help all of us work cohesively as we're just in these really early development stages with our kids. And so anyways, please know it is the 28th. January 28th is the parent workshop. So please know that I'm here to support you, and I think you're all doing a marvelous job. And I'm just so thankful for each and every one of you.